Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and shatter what is arguably the most pervasive illusion of our time, the myth of the AI neo-god. We are constantly surrounded by this narrative, right? This idea that artificial intelligence has just suddenly woken up, that it's this independent, creative entity capable of conjuring absolute masterpieces out of thin air. Well, today, we're going to completely dismantle that idea to uncover the actual, fundamental magic of human authorship. So, is AI a genuine creator, or is it literally just a digital scriptor? It's a question that totally captures the anxiety of our modern age. We see algorithms composing music, writing complex code, generating these stunning images, and it naturally triggers this totally understandable fear that human creativity is somehow becoming obsolete. But if we actually look closely at both computer science and legal history, we realize that the machine fundamentally lacks agency. Drawing on cultural theorist Roland Barthes, we can see that AI is actually just a digital scriptor. It's an incredibly sophisticated vessel that mixes and recombines existing text, absolutely, but it never truly creates.
All right, here's our roadmap for this explainer. 1. The AI neo-god myth. 2. The von Neumann Babelfish. 3. The algorithmic orchestrator. 4. Protortion versus distortion. 5. Liability and agentic tort. And 6. Stewards of the ALU.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, the AI neo-god myth. The philosopher Hannah Arendt perfectly defines the boundary between human and machine. She points out that true creation requires praxis, a deeply engaged doing that is completely tied to lived experience. Think about it. An AI doesn't feel joy, it doesn't experience grief, it has absolutely no societal context, and it faces zero biological friction. Real art requires an inner societal drive and the actual physical struggle of pushing through the maze of life. And those are things a machine fundamentally lacks. Moving right along to Section 2, the von Neumann Babelfish. Okay, if you're a fan of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, you're definitely going to recognize the Babelfish. Generative AI essentially operates on a similar sequence-to-sequence mapping process. It takes one format, like an English prompt, and translates it into another, like Python code or an image. But here's the catch. It is blindly translating these formats without truly comprehending a single word of it. It acts as an advanced bridge, basically ingesting prompts and spitting out new formats based on highly complex probabilistic guessing. Honestly, it's exactly why you can ask for a majestic horse and occasionally get one with 5 legs. It's wildly guessing, not comprehending. You are the source, the AI is simply the translator. We are constantly trying to cross this massive divide. On one side, we have our human cognition, what researchers call OS alpha. It's warm, it's highly associative, and it is beautifully messy. On the other side, we have the computer's arithmetic logic unit, or the ALU. It is incredibly cold, rigid, and demands absolute deterministic exactness. So how do we actually connect them? Text. Structured text is the semiotic bridge. It's the divine script that safely compiles our boundless associative imagination into the exact physical hardware execution of the silicon processor. Which brings us to Section 3, the algorithmic orchestrator. In antiquity, in places like ancient Iraq, literary production was this massive, anonymous, highly collaborative endeavor by scribes. Fast forward to the 18th century, and we invented the idea of the romantic genius. The lone hero struck by divine inspiration, just pulling brilliant ideas out of nowhere, like a spontaneously growing flower. Well, today, in the 2020s, as we enter the agent-to-agent economy, we are evolving once again. This time into the algorithmic orchestrator. The solitary epiphany is literally being replaced by the strategic management of a system. For centuries, human creators did the pure origination. We did the tedious, mechanical rendering of every single word or pixel. Today, though, human creators provide the rhetorical strategy, the initial intent, and the prompt, while completely surrendering the actual technical execution to the algorithmic Babelfish. We aren't originating every pixel anymore. We are orchestrating the meaning. Let's dive into the math in Section 4, protortion versus distortion. Under Shannon's rate distortion theory, transforming a signal always creates degradation. That is distortion. In AI, this is the machine's mathematical guesswork, which is exactly why the output is always slightly unpredictable. Opposing this, we have human protortion. This is the proactive, painstaking sweat of the brow where a human mind maps its vision onto reality with high fidelity, actively rejecting the random distortion of the machine. True authorship demands this exact physical and mental steering. The US Copyright Office actually hits the nail on the head here. They've stated that while prompts reflect a mental conception, they simply do not control how the idea is ultimately expressed. Because algorithmic distortion introduces unpredictable machine choices, like the exact placement of a pixel or the specific shading of a line, it fundamentally breaks the fidelity of human control. In that moment, you become a commissioning party, not the executing artist. Therefore, current law requires perceptible, continuous human creative decisions to claim true authorship. That historic sweat of the brow requirement, it is making a massive comeback because you have to prove you are the pilot actively keeping the machine on course. Now, let's jump into the legal realities in Section 5, liability and agentic tort. Because the AI is ultimately just a deterministic digital scriptor, it literally cannot hold legal liability. When you apply your intent, when you command the machine through what developers call the sovereign gate, you are committing an agentic tort. You are actively bending the machine's execution to your will. And because you are the one standing on the bridge issuing those commands, the law dictates that you hold the absolute, unyielding burden of liability for whatever that machine does. This danger is brilliantly and frankly terrifyingly captured in tech scholar Madeleine Claire E. Losh's concept moral crumple zones. Just like the front of a car is explicitly designed to crush upon impact to save the cabin, developers intentionally keep humans in the loop of complex AI systems to absorb the legal impact. If the algorithm fails, tech companies are going to point directly to you, the human orchestrator. So next time you blindly hit generate, remember this. If you aren't proactively and rigorously piloting the machine, you are merely acting as its moral crumble zone, absorbing all the cost of its errors. And finally, Section 6, Stewards of the ALU. The myth of the machine as a conscious creator, yeah, it's totally dead. The human spark, born of lived experience and practice, remains the absolute center of creation. The AI is an incredible, powerful brush, absolutely, but you are the painter. You are the ultimate theological steward of the ALU. The machine simply sits there, waiting for your command. It is entirely up to you to actively wield the divine script, that crucial text that bridges your imagination to its silicon execution. I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought for episode 44. As we plunge deeper into the agentic era, where machines can just effortlessly mimic human outputs, your role is no longer just generating content. It's architecting actual meaning. So what's it going to be? Will you just sit back, act as a moral crumple zone, and settle for an unpredictable facsimile of intelligence? Or will you take the wheel, embrace the sweat of the brow, and actively wield the divine script to command the machine? The choice and the true magic of authorship is entirely yours. Thanks for joining me for this explainer. Keep orchestrating, and I'll catch you in the next one.